What if the anxiety you feel every day isn't actually the problem but a signal your brain is trying to protect you in the wrong way? Most people think anxiety means something is wrong with them, something is broken, something needs to be fixed as quickly as possible. But anxiety is not a defect, it is a function, and a very powerful one. In fact, without anxiety, your ancestors would not have survived long enough for you to exist today. The problem is not anxiety itself, the problem is that your brain is using an ancient survival system in a modern world that no longer matches how it was designed to operate. And once you understand that, everything starts to make more sense. Anxiety begins in a part of your brain that is responsible for survival. This system has one job: detect danger and keep you alive. Thousands of years ago, this system worked perfectly. If you heard something in the dark, your brain did not wait to analyze it calmly, it assumed the worst and prepared your body to act immediately. Your heart would start racing, your breathing would speed up, your muscles would tighten, and your attention would become extremely focused. This is what we call the fight or flight response, and it is automatic. You do not choose it, and you cannot stop it instantly because it is designed to react faster than your conscious thinking. Here is the important part: your brain does not care about being accurate, it cares about keeping you alive. It would rather trigger a false alarm than miss a real threat. Now fast forward to today, you are no longer dealing with predators in the wild, but your brain still uses the same system. The difference is that now the threats are psychological, not physical. A message you have not answered, a meeting you are not prepared for, a conversation you are avoiding, the fear of being judged or rejected, uncertainty about your future. Your brain interprets all of these as potential threats. And it reacts the same way it always has. That is why anxiety feels so intense even when logically you know there is no real danger. Because your body is preparing for something that does not require physical survival. And this creates a mismatch between your mind and your environment. But anxiety is not just triggered by what is happening around you, it is also triggered by what is happening inside your mind. Your brain is constantly trying to predict the future, it creates scenarios, it imagines outcomes, it searches for possible problems. This ability is useful, it helps you plan and avoid mistakes. But it can easily turn against you. When your mind starts focusing on what could go wrong instead of what is actually happening, it begins to generate anxiety. You start reacting emotionally to situations that have not happened and might never happen. And your body responds as if they are real. This creates a powerful feedback loop. A thought appears in your mind, maybe something bad could happen. That thought triggers anxiety in your body. That anxiety makes the thought feel more important and more believable. Which makes you think about it more. Which increases the anxiety. And the cycle continues. This is why overthinking and anxiety are so closely connected. And this is also why trying to force your thoughts to stop usually makes things worse. Because the more you try to suppress a thought, the more your brain sees it as something important. So it brings it back again and again. Another key piece of anxiety that most people misunderstand is avoidance. Avoidance feels like relief in the moment, but it strengthens anxiety over time. When you avoid something that makes you anxious, your brain learns that the situation is dangerous. Even if it is not. So the next time you face something similar, your brain reacts faster and stronger. Because it believes it is protecting you. This is how anxiety grows. Not because you are weak, but because your brain is learning patterns and reinforcing them. On the other hand, when you face something that makes you anxious and you go through it without anything bad happening, your brain starts updating its belief. It slowly learns that the situation is not a real threat. This process is uncomfortable, but it is one of the most effective ways to reduce anxiety. It is how your brain rewires itself. Another reason anxiety feels so overwhelming is uncertainty. Your brain hates not knowing what will happen. When there is uncertainty, your brain tries to fill in the gaps. And it usually fills them with negative possibilities. Because from a survival perspective, it is safer to assume the worst. This is why your mind can create dozens of scenarios about the future, most of them negative. And each one can trigger a small amount of anxiety, which adds up over time. You might think that if you analyze everything carefully, you will feel more in control. But the opposite often happens. The more you try to control every possible outcome, the more overwhelmed you feel. Because the number of possible outcomes is endless. So what can you actually do with all of this information? The first step is changing how you see anxiety. Instead of seeing it as an enemy, see it as a signal. It is your brain trying to protect you, even if it is doing it in an exaggerated way. This shift alone reduces the fear of the feeling itself. Because a big part of anxiety is being afraid of anxiety. The second step is learning to separate yourself from your thoughts. Your thoughts are not facts, they are mental events that come and go. Just because your mind suggests something does not mean it is true. When you start observing your thoughts instead of automatically believing them, you create space. And in that space, anxiety begins to lose some of its power. The third step involves your body. Anxiety is not just in your head, it is in your entire nervous system. Your breathing, your muscle tension, your posture all influence how you feel. When your breathing is fast and shallow, your brain receives a signal that something is wrong. When you slow down your breathing and relax your body, you send the opposite signal. You tell your brain that you are safe. This can reduce the intensity of anxiety even if your thoughts are still active. Another powerful tool is gradual exposure. Instead of avoiding everything that makes you anxious, start facing it in small, manageable steps. If something feels overwhelming, break it down into smaller parts. Each time you face it and nothing bad happens, your brain learns something new. And over time, the anxiety response becomes weaker. This is not about forcing yourself into extreme situations, it is about building tolerance step by step. Consistency matters more than intensity. You also need to understand that progress is not linear. Some days will feel easier and others will feel harder. That does not mean you are going backwards. It means your brain is still adjusting. Being patient with this process is essential. Because real change happens through repetition, not through one single moment. Another important factor is how you talk to yourself. Your internal dialogue has a direct impact on your anxiety. If you constantly tell yourself that you cannot handle things or that something will go wrong, your brain believes it. And it reacts accordingly. But if you start introducing more balanced thoughts, not overly positive but realistic, your brain starts responding differently. For example, instead of thinking something will definitely go wrong, you can think, I do not know what will happen, but I can handle it. This kind of thinking reduces pressure without denying reality. It creates a sense of capability instead of fear. It is also important to limit how much you expose yourself to constant stimulation. Your brain is not designed to process endless information all day long. Social media, news, notifications, constant comparison with others, all of this increases mental noise. And that noise feeds anxiety. Creating small moments of silence during your day, even just a few minutes, can help your mind reset. Because anxiety thrives in constant stimulation. And it weakens in calm and clarity. At a deeper level, anxiety is often connected to the need for control. You want to know what will happen, you want certainty, you want guarantees. But life does not work that way. And the more you try to force certainty, the more tension you create. Learning to tolerate uncertainty is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Not because uncertainty disappears, but because your reaction to it changes. You stop seeing it as a threat and start seeing it as part of life. And this shift reduces anxiety significantly. The truth is, anxiety will probably never disappear completely. Because it is part of how your brain works. But it does not have to control your life. It does not have to define your decisions. And it definitely does not define who you are. When you understand how anxiety works, you stop fighting it blindly. You start responding to it with awareness instead of fear. And that changes everything. Because the moment you realize that anxiety is not a sign of weakness but a misfiring protection system, you take back control. If this helped you understand your mind better, subscribe for more videos like this.